Hello, Ratheen. Hello, Sarah.
Sarah! Sierra Hilton is also going to be joining us, but she's in calf right now.
Good. Looks like you guys are providing your own dinner.
Yeah, we just got back from the calf.
So, Sarah, are you still on campus?
Yes, ma'am.
I know that there was quite a bit of moving out yesterday, apparently. I saw a few people that I hadn't seen in several weeks.
Yep, I'm waiting until Tuesday.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I'm waiting until Tuesday.
I see.
We're off campus.
I didn't know what the deadlines were.
Is that Layman?
I'm going to ask everybody if you are, I don't know if you're using a laptop or a phone, but you should have the option of changing, if your name is showing up as a device, you should have the option of changing that to your name. In the desktop program, you have 3 little dots in the top right corner of your photo. And if you click on that, you'll have the option of changing your name to whatever you'd like to be called during the course of the honors banquet. Hey, Taylor.
How are you, Dr. Whited?
Looks like you're having good weather.
Yeah, it's been really nice today.
Excellent. Dogs are welcome.
That's our English Mastiff.
It's also beautiful in Ferrum.
Awfully quiet, isn't it?
It's very quiet, yes. It is very quiet. I've actually been working in Britt a lot, partially for that reason, because it is so quiet here. It's far noisier at my house. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
There you are. You were muted.
I was, yes.
Is there a music event this afternoon? Hello, Christine.
Hi.
They had put together a small, the instrumental students and Sixto and Dr. Spizzato put together a small video of the end of the year kind of music stuff. Connor played his trombone and Julio played his tuba. But they did a very good job. They sounded wonderful.
If I go to Facebook after this is over, can I watch the video?
Yeah, if you go to the Music at Ferrum College Facebook page, it's up there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I will look forward to that. Hello, Dr. Stein. You're muted, I think.
I'm unmuted. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good, I'm glad you could join us. I'm fine.
Good.
Gonna wait just a few more minutes until it's exactly 5 o'clock. I am so grateful that all of you could join us today. I've really been looking forward to this event, and I hope that maybe our being together, even in this strange virtual kind of way, will restore a little bit of a feeling of normalcy, maybe, and certainly a feeling of celebration that we all should be feeling at this point in the semester. Those of us who haven't turned in all our grades yet may not be feeling completely celebratory. But I think that most students are probably finished with their finals work or close to finish. Hello, Tyler.
Hi. Am I coming through okay?
You're coming through just fine. You still on campus?
Yes. I think I got another day.
Hello, Jason. Dr. Johns, I'm glad you could join us. Hi, Jason.
Jason's ignoring you.
Maybe he's muted. Hello, Dr. Gahowski.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Johns, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. When you were connecting, did I hear you say a bad word?
I hope not. I thought I had.
Okay. We'll give
Although
you
they have been uttered a time or two during this time.
we'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Sure,
Well, I have
call him out, Dana.
Go ahead.
I've been trying
Call
to
him out.
adjust on a stack of books, my iPad, and you'll be happy to know that I have a copy of the 7th Harry Potter is helping to. I thought you'd like to know that.
I'm very happy to know that Harry Potter books come in handy in any number of ways. I think I saw Dr. Bob Polad there, and Bob, I wanted to give a special shout out to you. Dr. Polad is a member of our newest group of faculty emeriti. Dr. Polad, faculty emeritus, and Dr. Thomas, faculty emerita. So congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Nice to see some familiar faces.
It is nice to see familiar faces.
I do not have any grades to turn in.
Lucky you.
Don't rub that in. Well, we're going to be a little informal this afternoon, and I'm going to have to switch screens several times to show you some things, but I do want to give you a very warm welcome to the 2020 Honors Banquet. And I want to start by reading you an email from Tyler Hartline that I received on Tuesday, March 24th. When my children went to Ferrum Elementary School, they had an award called Caught Being Good. On very rare occasions, one of my children might have received that award, but this is Tyler's Caught Being Good, or maybe Caught Being Sensitive moment. On March 24th, Tyler wrote to me, "Hi, Dr. Whited. I understand the honors banquet is important, and I know you are considering more people than just me. I still want you to know that I completely understand the dinner situation, and I myself do not want to impose an extra stressor on you. If the consensus is to hold a virtual honors banquet, then I am for it. I just do not wish to add additional stress to anything and everything else with which you must be contending." I don't think I can read you anything else that would better kind of epitomize the type of students I deal with on a regular basis as the director of the Boone Honors Program. I regularly say that I'm the luckiest faculty member at Ferrum College, and I truly believe that. And I want Tyler and all of you, but particularly our seniors, to know there is no way I would consider skipping this event as long as it were possible to do it. So here we are. And the one thing I realized yesterday, the one thing that you are going to have, Jason, Taylor, Tyler, Layura, Sarah, and Catie, the one thing you actually are going to have is a recording of your honors banquet, which frankly no graduating class has had before. So I hope it makes you feel just a little bit better to know that you do have something that other graduating classes don't have, despite the very strange world in which we found ourselves for the last 6 weeks. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce to you the president of Ferrum College and the star of those trending diaspora videos, Dr. King.
Thank you very much. Yes, well, if you go back and look at the first diaspora video, I mentioned something about them happening just for a couple weeks. I had no idea that we would be into an 8th one coming up here shortly. So my goodness, but I want to welcome everyone. There are family members, some friends who are gathered as well. I want to welcome all of you. I'm also glad, I want to underscore that I'm so happy that we're going forward with having this celebration. It's so important to recognize achievement, to celebrate all that we've done. And I hope that all of you who are gathered here, students, family, faculty, I hope that all of you are, we might want to turn off mics for a while there.
Sorry about that.
And that you're maintaining an agreeable level of sanity during this time. It's been a challenging time. Over these last couple of months, I've used that term diaspora a lot. And I think it really does kind of express where we are. It's a people who were scattered from their homeland. And that's really been our experience over these last couple of months. And now today we're gathered together from various dozens of different locations, which is on one level sad, but on another level really remarkable. And so I'm so glad. While I might wish that we were all together in the Blue Ridge Mountain Room, celebrating, gathered around tables with our friends and family, one thing's been made really clear to me over these last several weeks, and that is that distance never stands in the way of friendship. Distance never stands in the way of friendship, and time zones never slows down our love for and our commitment to each other. And I think that's a true statement, and I hope that it's been your experience over these last few weeks. To our Boone Honors students, I want to congratulate you on completing the strangest semester in the history of semesters. I don't know about you, but I think we're all ready to close the books on this one and be done with it. It's been incredibly odd, and we have all done incredible work to make it, to work through this. And I'm looking forward to being together with all of you soon in the same space together. And when we're together, here's what I want to do. I want to sit down with you, and I want to talk with you about your vision for tomorrow, about your vision for the future. Because unlike any other time in my lifetime, in our lifetime, the world is aching and tomorrow is wide open and the future is completely undetermined. And we're going to need smart, dedicated, imaginative, creative women and men to build and to rebuild when we reach the other side of this pandemic. We're going to need you. And we're going to need you to lead us into a future that is just, into a future that's healthy, and into a future that's whole. A future that helps to unite us as a human family rather than divide us. A future that extends from this place to your places and to all the digital places in between, that kind of future. I believe in you, and we all believe in you, and we all celebrate you this evening. So again, a warm Ferrum College welcome from the many places where Ferrum College is this evening. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Johns. I'm going to call on Hannah Smith, a member of the class of 2021, to give our invocation. Hannah is an environmental science major from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Hannah?
Thank you, Dr. Whited, and thank you all for being here today. I thought I'd lead us in prayer since it seems fitting to give support for all of us who might be needing some tonight. So if you would, bow your heads or, meditate. So, dear Lord, we thank you for these amazing graduates and their perseverance to make it through this semester, and for everyone who was able to come tonight despite this distance. Bless these students with open hearts and give them the courage they need to face whatever their fate brings upon them. Continue to guide them in their lives as they take this new step into the world. Remind them to extend their hand to others, Lord, and please extend your hand to them when they need it. May you bring them kindness and hope so that they may change the world, even in small ways. We thank you for the strength and wisdom you have already bestowed upon them, which has allowed them to complete this wonderful yet challenging chapter in their lives. Thank you and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Hannah. In a little departure with tradition, I'm going to introduce a new feature considering the virtual nature of our being together tonight. And I'm going to ask the 6 graduating seniors, one by one, to just tell us who's with them tonight, who their guests are, and where they're coming, where they're joining us from. So we're going to start with Jason Anstice.
Hello, Dr. Whited.
Hello, Jason.
With me tonight, I have my dad, Michael, my mom, Robin, my sister, Jessica, and my other sister, Sarah, and we're currently in Northern Virginia.
Welcome to all of you. I remember saying to your parents, Jason, at a soccer match last fall when we parted, I said, I guess I'll see you in the spring at the honors banquet. You probably remember that. And who could have known what a strange turn the world
Very
would
strange.
take.
And I forgot to mention before, my grandparents are also tuning in from their house.
Great. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Taylor Darnell?
So I have my parents, both of them, Robin and Steve. My brother, Corey, was supposed to have chimed in, but he's not here tonight. And we're in roll hall right now.
You said that a little quickly. You're in Rural Hall, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And just a few minutes ago, we saw your dog, I think, as well, right?
Yeah, Honor, our English Mastiff's laying under the table right now.
Great. Well, welcome to all of you. We're glad you could be here. Tyler Hartline.
There we go. Got myself unmuted here. The guest who I chose is, well, one of them is my girlfriend, Alyssa. You could probably scroll left or right through the arrows at the top to see. And then I also invited my sister and brother-in-law, Andrew and Megan Crittenden, and just those 3. But I really appreciate that they could join me today.
Your sister and brother-in-law, I think, are joining us from Nevada. Is that right?
I believe so, yes. They should
probably win the prize for the guests who are joining us from farthest away. So good. Welcome to all of you. Layura Henley.
Hi. I have my grandma, my mom, my grandpa with me, and then I also have my dad, my stepmom, and my brothers, and my grandma and grandpa joining on another line. And we're in Wytheville and they're in Troutville.
Great. Thank you, Layura. Welcome to all of you. Sarah and Catie Hodges, I'm going to let you decide how you want to do this, since you have some of the same guests.
Catie, go ahead and go first.
There you are.
Okay. I have Jacob. Our little sister Lauren is here with me, and then we also have tuning in our grandma and our uncle and one of our cousins because the other ones had technical difficulties.
I see. Sarah?
So my mom is here. I think my stepdad is on there too. And then joining them is our dog, Toby. He's in the crate right now. He was bad today. So he's still joining from jail, but I'm still at Ferrum and they're all in Manita.
And you're
also
with Jacob, right?
I also have Jacob here too. I'm sorry.
Jacob, we especially welcome you since you got left out. Welcome to all of Catie and Sarah's guests. At this point, I want to recognize all the members of the honors program, and so I am going to share a slideshow with all of you, and while it is playing, you will learn a little bit more about all the members of the honors program. Primarily, you're going to see some profile slides. Toward the end, you'll also see some slides representing the groups which oversee the honors program, the steering committee and the honors advisory council, and Layura is going to have a little more to tell you about those groups a little later on in the program. You'll also see a few of our activities from this academic year. We seem to have gotten stuck on one slide there. Let me see if I can advance the slideshow myself. Okay. Go.
We probably missed Jason because
He was first one. What happened to the voice you had?
because it's going alphabetically.
Why they're showing all those people when none of those names are
They may be able to hear us, I don't know.
Looks like we're having the same problem again. Let's see.
Hi, I think I got it. Bye-bye.
Sorry about that. I think I'm just going to advance the slideshow manually. Let's see. The problem, in case you're wondering, is that I temporarily lost the cursor on my screen. There we go. All right, let's try it this way. I think I'm just going to click through slides for you since the automatic settings don't seem to be working, and I apologize for that. Let's go on to Savannah and see what happens.
You need to share your screen again.
I'm sorry, you don't see it?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's go back. I'm so sorry. Let's go back. Sorry, wrong screen. All right. Do you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just going to click through like this because you'll be able to see all the slides. Thank you, Bob. And we won't have to worry about the slideshow pausing again. Just in case you're wondering, there are currently 58 members of the honors program. And that is an all-time high.
Too bad we just missed it.
Hmm.
Too bad we just missed it. Jason just said we saw you guys on the screen. And Michael said it.
going to go ahead and say a little bit about the administration of the honors program. Can everyone hear me? I'm not muted, am I?
We can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. The honors program is overseen on 2 levels. The program has a steering committee, which is composed primarily of faculty. And during this academic year, the faculty members of that committee are Dr. Sandra Vai, Ms. Karen Duddy, and Dr. Allison Burke, and Layura Henley, who serves as the chair of the Honors Advisory Council, is also a member of that committee. The second level of oversight is a student group, which is called the Honors Advisory Council. And I'm going to let, in just a few minutes, I'll let Layura say a little bit about this group. Layura, would you like to go ahead and do that now?
Sure can.
That'd be great.
Okay, so as Dr. White had said, it's kind of like the student-led governing body of the honors program. And so I'd like to recognize and thank our members, which are Catie Hodges, Taylor Darnell, Amber Osborne, Sam Chappell, Jack Sheehan, Alex Matson, Elena Baltons, Madison Kogel, and Matt Fabian. And then, so basically, as I said, we govern the honors program as a student body. And so we kind of discuss new courses we want to add to the program that are a combination of 2 different areas of study that we need to fulfill our honors requirements. And then we also go to honors conferences. And so we get to talk to other honor members of other programs and then kind of see what we want to incorporate into our honors program. And so every year we get together and me and Dr. Whited kind of decide on who we'd want the next chair to be. And so last year, of course, it was me. And this year, we would like to bestow the honor upon Alex Matson for next year. So, yeah.
I'm very grateful to all the members of the steering committee, to all the members of the Honors Advisory Council, Layura, especially to you for keeping this group all together. I'm grateful to you for your service to the program, and the members of the Honors Advisory Council, I'm grateful to you for your service to your peers. So thank you very much, and thank you, Layura. The honors program also has a mentoring program. All new students in the fall semester are mentored by returning members of the honors program. Here's a picture of Catie Hodges and her protege, Emma Brubaker, in the fall semester. Just yesterday, I was looking back at my list of mentors, and I realized for all 6 of you who are graduating this year, I think you had really terrific mentors. When I looked back at the list of your mentoring assignments, I realized all of you had a really great mentor. Students in the program regularly go on social and cultural outings. In the fall semester, one of those events was a dinner at Mellow Mushroom in Roanoke with Dr. Andrew Hayes, who's on the far left of that photo. Andrew is a medical resident in pediatrics at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital currently. And you may have noticed as we went through the slideshow, we do have a number of students in the program in pre-professional health sciences, pre-med, who are interested in medical school or working in other medical related careers. So it was a good opportunity for us to get together with Andrew and hear about his experience. And during the same outing, we went over to the Carilion Virginia Tech School of Medicine for an art exhibit, which had opened that evening, featuring the works of Jane Lillian Vance, whose name may sound familiar to you. She's affiliated with an organization called Help Save the Next Girl, of which Ferrum College does have a chapter. So we were looking at the art exhibit, which was actually hanging in the School of Medicine during that time. I also want to recognize Taylor Darnell, who this spring was our nominee for the Virginia's Collegiate Honors Council's Honors Scholar of the Year Award. Ferrum is fortunate in that 2 years ago, our nominee, Dorothy Carroll, was named Honors Scholar of the Year. This organization covers not only Virginia, but also West Virginia. So it's a great opportunity for students, particularly at conference events, to get some experience with presenting, being involved in professional sessions, as well as networking. Okay, And that is the end of the slideshow. Next, we have a special treat, and that is going to be a musical selection from Catie Hodges, who is going to sing Beyond My Wildest Dreams from The Little Mermaid.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Whited. So I had my voice lessons like last week, and Adam McAllister asked if I could speak. So thank you for allowing me to do this since I didn't get to have my senior recital this year. So here it goes. Oh, just look, it's like I'm in a storybook. Oh, it's bliss. I dreamed that it would be somewhat, but not like this. Look over there, oh my God, how very odd and what my baby, something splendid maybe. Look over there, could you possibly isn't it just be dazzling, dazing, utterly amazing, gazing round it's like to die. Just seeing it feels so good, I'd scream if I only could. I hoped and wished and wanted so to be here, wished and prayed and planned it to our tea. Great and wow, just look, it's really me here, walking around, strange as it seems, somewhere beyond my wildest dreams. Look, it's him, so handsome and refined and slim, sweet, sincere, magnificent from head to toe. And I felt and wished my life would feel enchanted. Wished and prayed the fates would hear my plea. Great and how my prayers are more than granted. Look at it all, hall after hall, perfect as you could please here. Marvels galore, and even more. She did I mention peace here, and if who knows, all of it goes past even these extremes. Just look at me, and you'll see someone beyond her wildest dreams.
Thank you, Catie. Just in case you haven't noticed, you do have a reaction function in your Zoom dashboard, so we can certainly give applause, for example, or thumbs up. Just keep that in mind when we, as we move through the portion of the program now that will involve recognition of the graduates by faculty who have worked closely with them at Ferrum. And we're going to begin with Jason Anstice, and I will invite Dr. Ratin Basu to offer some comments about Jason. I would like to say first, I do want you to know that Dr. Basu, who came to Ferrum in the same year that I did, but a few weeks before, is Ferrum College's longest serving faculty member. So, Dr. Basu.
Good evening to everyone. And thank you, Jason, for inviting me to this banquet, and to Dr. Whitehead for giving me this opportunity to say a few words about Jason. I think Jason's actions speak for themselves, what he's done and what he's accomplished. But nevertheless, I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience with Jason. Jason came in about in 2016, I believe, and that's when he came in as my advisee, and I got to talk with him. And as time went by, I began to see that he had a real interest in not just taking the usual courses and getting a major, but in really learning as much as he could about a variety of things. And so he expanded. We talked about what he could do, and he went from management to financial management. And then he took a course in computer science, and he thought that would be interesting as well. And so my experience with Jason is that he's not going to be, not going to think local. And I hope he won't think local all the time. That we live in a world, as Dr. John said, where we can no longer afford to think just locally because everything is global. And I think this pandemic has really made that clear. We used to think globalization, and we talk a lot about it, but the pandemic has really made it clear that we live in a global world and we need to think globally as well. And I think Jason is well prepared for a world like that. And so I really want to commend Jason as an advisee. He was ideal. He was proactive. He was motivated. He was always prepared. And he was, I mean, it was amazing. Even before pre-registration, he had thought through his classes. He'd come in and say, come in and talk about it. I wish all the others did that, actually. And so I'm going to miss him. And for all of his family, his sisters, his parents, and his grandparents, I want to say thank you for allowing us to share him for a few years. And I'm sure you're going to see him succeed in life. And for Jason himself and for all the graduates, I would just say, take forwards with you. They've stayed with you all these years. You take them with you as you go along. And they're just not self, but others. And you'll see that by serving others, you'll be served 100-fold. So just take that with you. And good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Basu.
Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Jason Anstice. I don't see Dr. Anstice in the participants currently. I hope that's not because he's having technical problems. Dr. Anstice shows up, Jason, we'll go right back to him.
All right, thank you.
All right. Going to move on now to Taylor Darnell, and we're going to begin with actually an audio recording from Dr. Tim Durham, who made an audio recording. Oh, there's Jason's family. Sorry, I didn't show you that earlier. You can't see what's on my screen right now. Just a second. I'm going to play the audio recording for you.
So I've been asked to say a few words about Taylor. I'm generally not one for speeches, and I'll let Dr. G fill in any gaps since she's mentored him on a more regular basis. But I'll make an exception since Taylor is on another plane of existence as a student. Where to begin? I first met Taylor in my Intro to Plant Science course a few years ago. He was probably a true freshman at that point with an interest in chemistry and horticulture. So somewhat unconventional. But immediately I was stricken with his poise. He would always ask very informed questions and weigh in with personal anecdotes. I come to find out that he had extensive experience in the green industry and also moonlighted as a daylily breeder. Since then, I've had him in plant pest management, plant disease, plant phys and biotech, where he's always a, if not the, top performer. He's gone through the plant gauntlet and come out unscathed. He really is the prototype for what a student should not only aspire, but actually be. Near as I could figure, I've taught at least 2,500 students these past 12 years, all at 3 different institutions, mid-size, large state institutions, to small liberal arts colleges like Ferrum. And it's pretty evident that Taylor's intellectual capacity is easily within the top 2% of all students I've taught. Besides that, he's just demonstrated an ability to juggle the rigors of academic study and extracurriculars as a member of the swim team, the Boone Honors Program, and general campus leader and ambassador. On that last point, I can remember one specific case with the Virginia Academy of Science. I had invested quite a bit of time organizing an event called the Fall Undergraduate Meeting at the Ferrum campus. And when we had a delegation from the VAS, Virginia Academy of Science, visit the campus, Taylor was front and center on the local coordinating committee. He was an equal, a full-fledged member, as far as I was concerned. Then, of course, I found out that I had a conflict that couldn't be missed, and I couldn't actually attend the event that I had been strenuously preparing for months. So I asked Taylor to take the reins, organizing, directing, and troubleshooting. I had absolute confidence that he could handle the event, and he did so skillfully. I think it's pretty evident that he's made an impact among the faculty. And research is no exception. It's really been his forte. So a lot of you know he's conducted independent research looking at terpene content in different plant species, particularly Fraser fir, using gas chromatography. So why? What's the end game? Well, he's looking at the big picture, kind of the intersection between chemistry, applied botany, stewardship, and entrepreneurship. He just embodies that ethic of a lifelong learner. He's won research accolades from the Virginia Academy of Sciences, the Appalachian College Association as a Ledford Scholar, and managed his grant awards as an undergraduate, no less, to conduct his research. That's pretty impressive. I think all faculty have had their fair share of teaching frustrations, but Taylor's definitely not been one of them. He's been the antidote. Thanks to the foundations he's received at Ferrum, he's already accepted a graduate assistantship at the University of Florida, my graduate alma mater. Go Gators! I expect great things from him as an ambassador and a change agent for the agricultural industry. So Taylor, my hat's off to you. All the best in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Durham, and we will go now to Dr. Laura Grahowski.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now.
You are.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm
Yes.
seeing nods. Okay.
Sorry, yes.
I think Tim said a lot of describing who Taylor is exceptionally well from the perspective of what he's been at campus, but I want to put from the perspective as his advisor and as someone who spent a lot of time talking to Taylor. I can honestly say that he gets credit for being probably my biggest advising mistake. And that was the first time he walked into my office in January of his freshman year. And he said that he wanted to do some independent research. And when I inquired about how much chemistry background he had, he told me he hadn't had much since high school. And so I signed him up for a 100 level independent research. Big mistake. Because Taylor immediately, we sat down, we chose a project, and he jumped in at the 300 level right off the ground. And he not only took on the role of doing the research, but by the time he finished his research with us at Ferrum, he was taking more of a graduate student level responsibility because he was doing the instrument maintenance, the instrument troubleshooting. He was doing all of the things that you normally expect a professor to be doing, and he would just step in and solve all the problems. And I think that goes along with the story that Dr. Durham told about him being at the VAS and taking control of that. It's really just in his nature to take control of a situation, to manage it, and to really take that responsibility. And logistics and organizations are just some of his strongest points. And I am personally thrilled that Taylor has found a graduate program where he's going to be able to blend his two passions of both chemistry and horticulture. And although I still get a chuckle, I'm going to picture you, Taylor, running zigzag across the University of Florida campus, avoiding those gators on a periodic basis. But I know he's going to do extremely well because just looking at how he was able to take a semester of undergraduate research and turn it into a Virginia Academy of Science scholarship or grant. And he took that Virginia Academy of Science grant and turned it into a Ledford scholarship. So he's really demonstrated an ability to just build on his own career. And I know that he's going to be extremely successful. I just hope you stay in touch with us, Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you guys for all of those remarks. And yes, we've already talked about some things that Farron will be involved with later on with some of the stuff at UF. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Durham and Dr. Grahowski. We're going to go now to Tyler Hartline, and I am going to call first on Professor John Carey.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Excellent,
You're
excellent.
fine.
So it's kind of nice to be here to talk about a wonderful student, get away from the grading for just a wee bit. So what can I say about Tyler? He went on the E-term trip that Dr. David Howell and I led to England. And the thing that struck me most about Tyler was that he is very intellectually curious. Sometimes it's hard to wrangle and round up 18 to 22-year-olds and get them all up and at 'em in the morning, especially when you know you're going to be walking for many miles throughout the day and taking in some rather remarkable sights. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get everybody together and on the same page. It can be a little frustrating sometimes, but we've always had great groups. But Tyler always stood out. He was always there. He was up and at 'em. Never complaining, enjoying everything, absorbing everything like a sponge, whether it was the Tower of London or whether it was the Globe or whether it was the Tate Modern. He enjoyed seemingly everything and absorbed everything like a sponge. And that's what really, really struck me. He really kind of seemed to draw everything out of that experience possible. The other thing I'd like to point out is, and one of the things I truly admire about this young man is he certainly marches to his own drum. And in this world of social media and this world of pressures to conform, Tyler doesn't play that game. And I could sum this up with one brief vignette, and then I'll pass this on to Dr. Howell. When we were at the Tower of London, many of you probably know about the famous ravens of the Tower of London. Well, he was struck by these ravens. So far that he purchased a raven hat and claws, if you will. And I remember I dozed off on the jet coming back to the United States. And when I woke up, I looked forward, and in the seat in front of me, I saw a raven's head watching a movie on the entertainment device in front of him. But just a charming young man, a true individualist, and very bright and intellectually curious. And I enjoyed spending time with him, quality time with him abroad last year. So with that, I'll pass it off to David Howell.
Thank you, John. Now we'll go to Dr. David Howell, and I would like to say before Dr. Howell speaks that he is the founding director of the Boone Honors Program, and I always like to say that when I have an opportunity to introduce him at this event. Dr. Howell?
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead. Can
Yes.
everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Especially Tyler?
Yes,
John and
yes.
I were talking who's going to get to tell the story about the Ravens hat. And so John's been speaking about what a character Tyler is. I thought I would speak about Tyler's character. One of my pet peeves, and actually it's fairly far down on the list of pet peeves, is the way that I hear people sometimes talk about leaving college and then now going to go to the real world, as if being in college is not real. Through my years of teaching, I've seen lots of joy and sorrow in college. Friendships are formed that last a lifetime. Relationships are made, which end up in long-term coupling marriages between people. The habits of mind that the students develop, they will carry with them into the so-called real world once they leave Ferrum College. And I was going to say something about Tyler's intellectual curiosity. One of the things that struck me the first time I had him in a class, which was the honors seminar, Bible and the Arts, was he was just really curious and wanted to know about what we were doing. Many honor students have that, but Tyler stands out in many ways about that. He, I remember, for example, the group project when they were at the end of the semester that year, and there's a number of people in the honors program who are here tonight that were part of that class, and who also, interestingly enough, went to England with John and I 2 different times. But Tyler that semester was the group that did curated an art show exhibit on Noah and the Ark. And what I was struck by Tyler's presentation was a diversity of paintings that he chose for his part of that exhibition that he and his friends were curating. He included Edward Hicks, the 19th century Quaker minister and artist, best known for his Peaceful Kingdom, and how this particular artist interpreted the story of Noah. He included a illuminated manuscript by an Islamic artist, Muslim calligraphy, that showed how this story about Noah had been interpreted in the Islamic tradition. And what Tyler really seemed to grasp was this connection, and you're always excited as a faculty member when students make connections you hope they make. The way that biblical texts are received in culture is not so much they're not representing the stories, but they in fact are interpreting them through artistic means, whether it be the visual arts, the musical arts, movies, literature, and Tyler got that. We saw that in England when we were on pilgrimage, and his project for that trip, which he presented when he came back, was to look at church architecture of all the cathedrals and churches that we visited there, and try to raise questions about what is the connection between the structure of church buildings and theology. He had his journal with him, and he would be sketching in that journal. My recommendation, Tyler, is that you don't change from biology and become an artist on the basis of those sketches, but he was just fascinated to explore these sorts of things. And he would regularly, when we were at the British Museum or the Tate or some of the other museums, when we would do some preliminary visits to some of the galleries, and then I'd send the students off in groups, and they would explore on their own. And Tyler would come and connect up with me and just be following me and asking questions about the art that we were looking at. So I just really appreciated that intellectual curiosity. But I also got to know Tyler for the many years that he worked at Ferrum and event services, setting up for programs. Particularly, he was responsible for helping oftentimes with the technology side of it. And there were many times when I was school dean and at lots of programs where something would go wrong, and Tyler would be there to troubleshoot. And just sort of caring, wanting to help people was so much a part of his character that I appreciate, and it will serve him well as he leaves campus. He wasn't a religion major, but you know, Tyler, you could be, and it's not too late. Some of the premier people involved in the intersection of religion and science here in the 20th century, people like John Polkinghorne or Ian Barber, started out as scientists and later on moved over to theology. So there's still hope for you when you leave, and you can say what the medieval church considered the queen of the sciences. So Godspeed, you'll be missed. Thank you for all you contributed to Ferrum.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all being here.
We're going to go now to the tributes to Layura Henley. And I am going to share my screen again to bring you a group that I have come to think of as the comedy team of Goff and Smelkova, Dr. Katie Goff and Dr. Natalia Smelkova, who were not able to be with us today.
Okay, it's recording. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Smolkova, and I taught biochemistry, real biochemistry, and baby biochemistry to Layura. I had her twice in my class. Hi guys, Dr. Goff here. Lay has been my major student in terms of her triple majors and double triple minors.
Yeah, we lost all the counts. When I look at her CV, it's just, I think it's insane.
Yes, yeah, I can't even remember them all at this point.
Yeah.
We're friends like you
I
guys
hope
are.
She does remember.
I think she remembers.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
that's what matters.
So I got to have Lay kind of all along during her time here, from freshman year all the way on up. And we decided that we would like to talk to you guys today about some of the things that we love about Lay. And
As a person, as a student,
yes.
a wonderful student who's a great attitude to life. When I first had her in my class, I looked at her and thought, this is a girl with golden hair. And I was very jealous because her hair is just so beautiful. But her attitude, always positive, always smile, no matter how much you would put this homework, she's always smiling.
I even think you could say, I really appreciate Lay's positive attitude as well, and it really is pervasive throughout the class and the group that she's with. And so I would like to say that I think her smile is infectious.
Yes, she is absolutely. You just want to be in this zone of positivity.
Yeah. So Dr. Smolkova and I got the chance to talk ahead of time about the things that we love and have really observed about Lay. So one thing is her positivity. What else do you want to say?
I can say in my class, her absolutely great handwriting.
Oh,
yes. I even wrote her workbook. She left it to me, so I inherited from her. And I was so stunned by excellent work she had done.
Do you want me to hold it so they can see it?
Yes, show it better.
Okay.
If they can see all this writing, guys, you can read it. Look at it. You can read it.
Oh, look at the structures.
Yeah, and don't really pay much attention to all this red stuff. I always put that stuff. That's what they pay me for. So I have to do it. So now we call this laboratory workbook Bible. So it's a Bible, and students learn. I told them, hey guys, write it down just as it's written in the Bible. And you can read it, and the quality of your writing should be as good. And this is really kind of, I don't have many Bibles in chemistry. Just this is the only one.
Really good.
This is the only one. Real good. This is another thing I would like to, besides her positivity, beautiful golden hair. And
Two things.
Yeah. What else?
Positivity, beautiful golden hair, good
Beautiful
handwriting.
Yes.
Okay.
Not good. Beautiful.
Beautiful handwriting. About the handwriting, I think it's that Lay always does everything to the absolute max of her abilities. So she doesn't have.
It's all above average.
Yeah.
It's well above average.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy doing it. I want to put some efforts in it. And why should I do it halfway? I will do it the best I can. And that's what really kind of very fascinating about her. I wish we had more students like Layura, right?
Yes.
You call her Lay.
Yeah,
Layura. The name is just so beautiful. So much music in it.
Yes, there is music in it. I just call her Lay for short.
She doesn't mind?
No.
This is
you don't mind, do you, Lay?
No, she doesn't, which is wonderful. And she can speak Russian.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's bonus points with you.
Yeah, not very big points because I teach chemistry, not Russian language. So her name is Larissa. Larissa, she actually, when she sent me an email a while ago, she signed Larissa. So this is kind of very close. And I learned something new.
Very cool. Other things that Dr. Smolkova and I love about Lay is just her kindness and her willingness to help.
whether it's in the classroom or whether it's in community service activities.
Yeah. And besides, I heard about she wants to do some work in the medical field.
Neurology.
This is very difficult, but I think she can do it.
I think she
It's
can do
her
it too.
attitude, positivity, and taking really positive approach, smiling, and I think she can lead other people.
But also hard work. We talked about
Hard
how
work, this is the basis of everything, and she is doing it all of the time. I'm absolutely sure of her great, brilliant future.
We are really excited, Lay, to see where you go after Ferrum College.
Yeah, don't forget us.
We know,
shoot us email from time to time, right?
We know that we'll always be in your heart, and we're really proud of you, and we love you.
Very proud. I can tell you, very proud.
Everyone else, it's been great to be with y'all. We can't wait to see everybody in person soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving us opportunity to talk.
Layura, I don't know about you, but I'm deeply glad that we actually have a recording of that, because I know that next year when you're off in graduate school in Cleveland, if there are times when you're feeling a little down, and some of us who've worked with you regularly may be doubtful that you have times when you're feeling down, but I will make certain that you have access to that video so that you can watch it again if you want to do it at those times.
Thank you.
We're going to go now to Sarah Hodges, who unfortunately had her student teaching experience at Franklin County High School interrupted by the pandemic this spring. And I'm going to call first of all on Dr. Christine Christensen, Director of the Teacher Education Program.
Hello, and thank you, Sarah, for inviting me to speak today. I'm so happy to get to talk about your experience as an English teacher, because I used to be an English teacher, so it's really dear to my heart that you're going into the profession that I love. So one of the things that I noticed about Sarah early on is that she's really quiet, or at least in the classroom. And so I found out, the more I got to know her, that she had all these involvements outside of the classroom. And then when she would come in, she would sit and she would be really quiet. And I had to start, focusing on getting her to interact a little more, just because she's just a little shy. But before I knew it, she was doing wonderfully with many lessons at the board. Her performance presentations were always really strong. And as I learned more about her role in our teacher ed department as Mrs. Creel, our administrative secretary, she had helped her a lot in the office. And I learned so much about how Sarah is well organized. She can be trusted. She is someone who is compassionate. She would help the younger students, the freshmen and sophomores who would come in and ask questions. And she always had a smile on her face. And there were times when I was working late and I would hear Sarah down the hall working late too, giggling or talking with someone, trying to make it through the late hours to get her work done. What I really love is that through this student teaching experience, Sarah put a little bit of pressure on herself, but she made it through it just wonderfully. Last semester, she applied for the job to teach at Franklin County High School, and it would be a real job during her student teaching. So she took that initiative and she had the interview, and of course she got the job. And as difficult as it is to teach teenagers, she made it through it. And there's an Appalachian word called moxie. And I found out that she has moxie because in spite of the ups and downs of what happens whenever you're learning your way as a new teacher, that's one thing. And then you also have to figure out how to share with your students those things that you love so much. And you also have to put students in their place a little bit when they need it. You also have to encourage them. You have to be passionate. You have to have high energy. you have to be calm, you have to be firm. And she was really starting to figure all of that out. I saw so much growth in her. And then COVID-19. So what I'm really thankful about is that it didn't keep her from wanting to continue, because she's going to work at Franklin County High School this fall. And I'm very happy for her, and I'm so excited. And Sarah, my advice for you is that you remember to teach what you love, find out what your students love, and you're all going to be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Christensen. And we're going to go now to Sarah's advisor, Dr. Catherine Grimes.
When Sarah was in English 200, which is Introduction to Literary Studies, with me about 3.5 years ago, she impressed me as a competent student. She did her work, she wrote solid essays, she studied for tests. Occasionally she contributed to class discussion. She made good grades. She never caused trouble. I don't even remember seeing her texting in class. But I also remember that she seemed afraid to challenge what she had been told. About 1.5 years later, she was at an honors seminar I taught with Dr. Tim Daniels. Oddly, she seemed younger in that class. She didn't seem to take the classes seriously, and she seemed to be having more fun. As I look back, Sarah reminded me of Hermione Granger, who came to Hogwarts obeying the rules, doing her work, but not enjoying so much outside of class. Then Hermione broke some rules and had some fun. Some people would see that as regression, but was a step that allowed more maturity in the long run. As a junior, Sarah was in my literary criticism class. Her work ethic seemed stronger than ever. She contributed to class discussion. She interacted with other students and with their ideas, and she showed evidence of thinking for herself. Perhaps that is the most important point of education. Any student can come to class, take notes, read, study, and parrot back what is taught. But when students begin to have their own ideas, well, that's the most exciting point for us, the most exciting part of our jobs as educators. This past year, Sarah took Lana Whitehead's Harry Potter and the Hero Myth class. I remember when Sarah said she wasn't even allowed to read Harry Potter. I also remember when Dr. Whitehead read on Facebook last summer that Sarah was reading Harry Potter, and we both got excited about that. Yes, students, we talk about you behind your backs. One day, Dr. Whitehead walked into the Harry Potter class and saw all her students watching someone writing on the board. That someone was Sarah Hodges. She had moved from competent student to exciting teacher. Now, how did Sarah come so far? I credit the English program, including myself, the teacher education program, and the Boone Honors Program. But most of all, I credit her study abroad experience in Ireland. Franklin County, for all its beauty and friendliness, can be provincial and insular. A trip across the Atlantic, excuse me, is a challenge for most of us, but it was life-changing for Sarah. Here's what Bob Polad said about Sarah's trip with him, which happened during the E-term that Dr. Polad's late wife, Dr. Carolyn Thomas, was unable to travel due to illness. Dr. Polad wrote to me, Sarah went to Ireland in the spring of 2018 when Carolyn couldn't go. Sarah's paper was on poets. It turned out that she wrote on William Butler Yeats and Oscar Wilde mostly. I remember her excitement when we visited a spot we always took the students in Sligo and the base of Ben Bulben, where there is a gravesite of Yeats in a small cemetery at Drumcliff. There are writings of his there as well. She was very excited to visit. Not being a science major, she was not as excited about the natural areas at first, but embraced them as the long history of Ireland captured her interest. We also saw the tribute statue of Oscar Wilde in Dublin. She was a joy to have on the trip, as she added a literary view of Ireland. She, along with all the students, were so concerned for me, as many eventually learned of what I had been dealing with about Carolyn by the end of the trip. The Boone Honors Program and Dr. Bob POLAD provided that opportunity for Sarah, but Sarah took full advantage of that opportunity, returning to Ferrum College to write her English senior thesis on Irish literature and to help educate other students about that literature. Sarah Hodges is my advisee and my student. I love her visits to my office when she talks about her plans for the future, and even when she talks about the sorrows she has experienced. There's a real open quality about Sarah that I admire and enjoy. Many people take pride in Sarah. I take special pride in not just who she is, but in how far she has come and how much she has grown. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grimes. Sarah, are you speechless?
I was gonna say thank you, but it's kind of hard. But thank you guys.
Jacob, please pass Sarah a tissue. I've had to have a few myself. We will go on now to Catie Hodges, and I will call first on Adam McAllister.
Hello. First off, I'm surprised that Sarah doesn't talk in class, but maybe it's just me. I had Sarah and Catie in class together, so maybe that's why she talked so much in my class. I don't know. But I would first off like to offer my congratulations to all the seniors being honored tonight. I had Layura in class, Jason in class, Sarah in class, and all the praise to you guys is warranted. You are excellent students for me as well. But I would like to spend most of my time talking about Catie, which is why I'm here. When Catie first started in music classes with me, she was very shy. And we would talk a lot about confidence and her abilities as a singer, as a musician, and a performer. And she was always enthusiastic about becoming a better musician and singer. And we spent a good year working on that confidence, not only as a singer, but as a performer. The first time she auditioned for a solo in choir, I was so excited for her because I knew how much effort and time she put into gaining that confidence. Working through these online lessons these last couple of weeks, I was able to more fully see the growth that Catie had achieved. It's hard to look someone dead in the eye for a half an hour and sing with them staring right back at you. And I was overcome with just so much pride. Catie doesn't know this, but her freshman year of college, I would have my professional singer friends listen to recordings of her because I was so proud and excited to teach her and the possibilities that her voice provided me as a teacher. We worked on Italian, French, German, Latin, and I relished in this because it's rare to have a science student come to you and say, I want to learn all these languages. I want to sing classical art songs, and to be so passionate about the arts. I hope that everybody was able to see the fruits of all the labor and work that Catie has put into her music lessons and her performance this year. This year in general has been a whirlwind for us on the music side of campus. The chorale has taken a more connective role, I would like to say, within the campus community. And I truly could not have accomplished all of that I set out for us to do without Catie and her leadership within our group. When we started running concessions at the volleyball and basketball games, Catie was the first person to volunteer to help, not only once, but multiple times. She drove onto campus over Thanksgiving break. She drove onto campus over Christmas break to help me lug all of that stuff from Groesbeck up to Swartz Gymnasium and back, even getting her family members involved to help us with this. During the times I was unable to be there, Catie made sure everything was set up. She would help her fellow classmates set up, and then Catie would go to tutoring, Catie would go to sorority meetings, Catie would go to other commitments on campus, and then after she was done, she made time to go back up there and help everyone clean up and to haul everything back to Groesbeck. I could always count on Catie to run things smoothly on my behalf and respectfully on behalf of the chorale. She took a leadership role in working with the freshmen in chorale this year to be a role model that is needed in such a unique experience as a touring choir. She would always give me honest feedback about what's going on in the classroom, and I trusted her viewpoint was an unbiased viewpoint. It's really hard to assess your peers and then go to the teacher and tell them an unbiased opinion about what's going on. There's even been multiple instances of Catie and I carrying a keyboard around campus. I would come out of Groesbeck in the morning when we'd have a performance, and I would think to myself, how am I going to get this keyboard from Sale Theater to the Blue Ridge Mountain Room? And sure enough, Catie always walked by me, and I was like, yes, Katie's here. I know she'll help. And we would lug that keyboard in between her classes, between buildings. But I think the thing that separates Catie the most to me is her commitment to the collegiate experience as a whole. When I was in college, I did everything: sports, music, theater. I held church jobs, part-time jobs. I took advantage of everything college had to give me. And I think Catie has done the exact same thing. I can't imagine Catie looking back on her time on campus and have any regret whatsoever. And I hope that she has positive recollections of everything that she's done on campus. She never pigeonholed herself into one experience at college. And I think that's something to be admired. When I look at campus, I think Catie has her handprint all over Ferrum's campus, whether it's from Franklin Hall to Garber to Groesbeck to Swartz to Roberts. I mean, I just see Catie everywhere in what she's done on campus. And she's participated in so many activities, and that requires really great time management skills that I'm really proud of her for, that she's achieved the goals that you've set for yourself, Catie. I mean, you are still, you conduct yourself with so much dignity and self-respect, and I'm just so grateful for that. On a personal note, Catie, I'm gonna talk to you, Catie, directly. I have enjoyed getting to know you as a person. We've had multiple discussions about religion, the world, global education, and I feel like it's always been done with maturity and respect, because we have differing opinions on a lot of subjects and a lot of issues. But I never once felt like you were trying to create dissension in that, and you carried it, and you listened, and I listened, and I just think that takes a great amount of maturity. And I wish you nothing but the most success in your future with medical school and your faith journey, because I know both are so important. And more than anything, I hope that your Ferrum College experience and your musical experience has enriched your life and has been beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you so much for being such a great student for me in class. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Adam.
Now we will go to Dr. Jason Powell, who is Catie's advisor.
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead. And I'm going to start with just general comments about all of the Boone Honors Program seniors, because I've had the privilege of working with all but two of them directly. And those two I got to work with indirectly. And I'm sure she said it at least once tonight. I apologize for my tardiness earlier. But Dr. Whitehead often remarks at how she feels that she's the luckiest faculty member on campus because she has the chance to work with all of these amazing students. And hearing about these seniors and knowing some of them personally like I do, I agree. She is one of the luckiest faculty members on campus because she has the chance to work with all of you fine students and the excellent work that you do. One of the things I'm going to be a little bit on the risky side of things, but I know since these are such high-performing students and such involved faculty colleagues, and because families always reflect the values of the students as well, I'm going to use a little bit of sarcasm in my remarks that are directed directly at Catie. So she will understand exactly what I mean, and probably 95% of you will not. And I apologize in advance for being a little bit on the obtuse side as a speaker, but I kind of, and those of you who know Catie will understand that that's kind of how she rolls. And I feel that I wouldn't be honoring her if I didn't at least incorporate some aspects of that. So apologies, and I'm doing it anyway. The first thing I need to say is I can't believe that Adam used the word shy when referencing Catie. I haven't often disagreed with Adam, but this is one point where I'm going to have to say that I can't agree with him. And the first day I met Catie, she was sitting at a table in the cafeteria with her mom. She had just come to campus, and she was speaking very loudly, which I know is a shock to all of you, very loudly, about what she was planning to study. And I've been at Ferrum for 19 years, so I've learned kind of the landscape. And there are some students that you want to catch them early because you know they're going to be interesting to work with. And all of you are those types of students, so you know what I'm talking about. So I quickly walked over to Catie's table and I said, I just heard you say that you're going to be a biology and chemistry. I forget the exact order, but I'll speak from Dr. Whitehead's slide earlier. She listed Catie as a pre-professional health sciences, pre-medical major, chemistry, and biology as her triple majors. I felt the need to correct her on the spot, that just so that you know, you will be a chemistry and biology double major with a pre-professional health sciences pre-med emphasis in terms of your career path. And I hope that I didn't offend her mom too much with that interaction. We laughed about it and moved on. But I think, Catie, that sort of defined our relationship a little bit, where we are always willing to contradict one another in a respectful and playful manner. And as someone who tries to connect with his students, I always try to picture, especially the newer students, as either a younger brother or a younger sister. Now that I'm getting a little silver around the edges, maybe a daughter or a son. I can't quite define how Catie relates to people. And I'm glad Adam spoke first, because the holistic approach to the college education and the opportunities that she had really defined the kinds of things that she did. As soon as she was in her first group of classes, I got a sense of her capabilities, and in very unusual form, I actually recruited a Froshmore, a first-year student, to be a member of my research team for a defense contract that we have through Ferrum College. And Catie worked on what's basically considered to be classified material. She knows I'm again kind of joking a little bit, because all she did was mix stuff together in the lab and try not to create too much smoke and disruption in there. Taylor knows a little bit about the smoke. I'll steal a word that Catherine used for Sarah. No, it wasn't Catherine. It was Dr. Christine. She used the word moxie, referring to Sarah, and I think that's something that Catie may come by honestly, and Sarah may come by it honestly. I think that may be a family trait. So I'm pretty sure their mom must have contributed some of that to them. I know I'm rambling a little bit, and I have to be careful, but Catie, I've only had you in a couple of classes, like many of these students. I have never had an auditory learner that is so focused on getting the most out of their classes that you are. My only piece of advice to you as a student is that I know that your performance is important to you, and that getting the best out of every opportunity is important. But I put it in my little note at the end of our inorganic class this semester. When you go to med school, remember that this isn't just about the grades. And Adam's remarks were true to the point that you have embraced the entire collegiate experience. And as you go into the Navy and the other things that you're going to be doing along with medical school, remember to dig deep in all areas and not just to worry about the number of points on an assignment. And I think maybe that's a piece of advice for all of you Boone Honors Program students as you move into your graduate studies. I want to say that Catie is exceedingly self-directed, a little bit edgy in her humor. So be careful that you don't push people's buttons too much. One thing, I'll echo what Adam said. So as a Froshmore, I had just hired her into my lab. She comes to work in the summer, and she's working in the lab. I'm often in my office doing various things. She showed up to work one day with a book in her hand, and she said she got it from her church library, and that when she read it, she thought of me and thought that I would enjoy reading it. So she hands it over, and it's a book entitled The Christian Atheist. And one of the things that most Ferrum students know about me is that my faith is very important to me. And as I read the subtitle, it was ways in which Christians live their lives as if God doesn't exist. And I'm still not sure whether she gave me the book because she knew I would use it to step forward and become a little more bold in my faith, or whether she thought I was living my life as a Christian atheist. That's something that she can explain to me later on. But I would encourage you, Catie, as you move forward, that you be cognizant of the ways in which people who are different from you perceive you. And I love the way Adam talked about the respectfulness and the deference that you gave him as you talked about issues on which you had differing opinions. And I'll say, you and I don't see eye to eye on everything, and I'll always mess with you on things. And I've always appreciated that you are willing to disagree respectfully, and then if necessary to do so again, using different words to try and get your point across. But at some point, you're always willing to say, okay, we've talked about that as much as we're going to, and then we'll continue on in our relationship. And I'm just so thankful that I've had the opportunity to work with you in the 19 years that I've been a student, at Ferrum College, that I've been teaching at Ferrum College. There are only a handful of students that I consider to have really defined my career as an academic, and you are one of those. I won't tell you whether you're my 7th favorite or my 8th favorite, but you are indeed one of those. So thank you for the honor of allowing me to speak on your behalf at this banquet. Dr. Whitehead, thank you for the kind invitation. I'm really grateful to have been a part of this ceremony.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. Catie, would you like to say a few words?
I just want to say, Dr. Powell, I won't be needing any pens or paper in med school because I don't plan to take notes there either. And I'll continue to be an auditory learner.
Dr. Kevin Riley visits the Honors Capstone Seminar, Honors 435. When we talk about a book by an Eastern European psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and yes, I do give extra credit if students learn how to pronounce his last name correctly. Dr. Csikszentmihalyi's book is Finding Flow, and Dr. Riley always ends that visit by reading a brief story from another book that I think I will let him tell you about. So Dr. Riley is going to kind of make a connection for us now with our class discussion in the Honors Capstone Seminar. Dr. Riley?
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead. My congratulations to the Boone Honors class of 2020 as well. I think you might have heard this story before, class of 2020, in that Honors Capstone class, which is called Values and Vocation, one of my favorite course titles we have at Ferrum. And we talk about flow. Flow is a wide-ranging, comprehensive topic, and the conversation goes to some wonderful places. This was the first time we did it via a Zoom call, which was different, but we all got used to it. But one of the things I like to read, as Dr. Whitehead mentioned, comes from a book by Robert Fulghum. And Robert Fulghum, maybe his most famous book is called Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And he's written several books. They're basically vignettes that are pretty heartfelt and usually have something meaningful to take away. The book I'm going to read this passage from is one of his, and it's called It Was on Fire When I Laid Down on It. And that's a whole nother story we could talk about. But the story I'm going to read part of is his interaction with a very powerful Greek man named Alexander Papaderos, a man he admired a lot. He admired enough, in fact, to go to a 2-week seminar and take this 2-week seminar just to have the experience of being around Dr. Papaderos for those 2 weeks. Papaderos had some experiences in World War II. He grew up to become a doctor of philosophy, a teacher, a politician, and a resident of Athens and of Greece. One of the things Fulghum likes to do at the end of a conference is when they say are there any questions, he likes to ask with great seriousness, what is the meaning of life? And he says that by and large, when he asks this questions, people chuckle, start to shuffle their papers, and start to go out of the room as though he were being glib. But he isn't. He says, I've asked it for years because I think that maybe someday I'll find an answer that is super meaningful. So on this last day of the 2-week seminar, Papaderos gets up to give his closing address. And he turned to the class, if you will, and said, are there any questions? No questions, Papaderos swept the room with his eyes. So I asked, Dr. Papaderos, what is the meaning of life? The usual laughter followed and people stirred to go. Papaderos held up his hand and stilled the room and looked at me for a long time, asking with his eyes if I was serious, and seeing from my eyes that I was. I will answer your question. Taking his wallet out of his hip pocket, he fished into a leather billfold and brought out a very small round mirror, about the size of a quarter. And what he said went like this. When I was a small child, during the war, we were very poor and we lived in a remote village. One day on the road, I found the broken pieces of a mirror. A German motorcycle had been wrecked in that place. I tried to find all the pieces and put them together, but it was not possible. So I kept only the largest piece, this one. And by scratching it on a stone, I made it round. I began to play with it as a toy and became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun would never shine, in deep holes and crevices and dark closets. It became a game for me to get light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept the little mirror, and as I went about my growing up, I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. As I became a man, I grew to understand that this was not just a child's game, but a metaphor for what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light or the source of the light, but light, truth, understanding, knowledge is there, and it will only shine in many dark places if I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I am about. This is the meaning of my life. And then he took his small mirror and, holding it carefully, caught the bright rays of daylight streaming through the window and reflected them onto my face and onto my hands, folded at the desk.
Thank you, Dr. Riley. And now I want to invite the graduates who have all received a small package from me in the last week to open that package. And when you've done that, if you would please hold up what's in the package.
Dr. Whitehead, I'd like to say I really appreciate the fact that the wrapping paper is peacock and the mirror has a peacock on it. I love it.
I'm glad you noticed. The graduates are receiving a small pocket compact mirror as a memento for them to remember the story of Alexander Papaderos, to remember two things about the story which I think are very important. The first is probably the obvious lesson. Your education allows you to reflect light into the dark places of the world, into the inaccessible places of the world. Don't forget that. Light is, as you know, one of the most common metaphors for knowledge, maybe the most common metaphor for knowledge. So don't forget to remember to use your capabilities, what you have learned, your education, to shine light into the dark places of the world. But the second thing is, remember that in that story that Dr. Riley read to us, Papaderos talks about playing with that mirror. He talks about using it to reflect light. I want you to do that. I want you to stand in a sunbeam, not now, you can stay where you are for now, but sometime soon and often. I want you to use that mirror to reflect light around. And I want you to always remember that in this story also is the importance of having that spirit of play which I hope you will carry with you despite the seriousness of the work you plan to do, despite the seriousness of the situation that we all find ourselves in currently. Don't ever forget that spirit of play. Now we're going to go to Dr. Amy Spisato, our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, who will offer some remarks.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is, as I sit comfortably in my own home in my office chair and listening to the faculty tributes, I marvel at the talent and creativity of this really special class. You brought passion and grit, drive, dedication to the Boone Honors Program that's going to live on for years, decades to come. Your legacy is at Ferrum College. I can spot a Boone Honors Program student anywhere in the campus. You're typically out front leading a special project, you're stepping up for a volunteer in anything on the campus, or you're asking questions with a warm, open heart and a curious mind. It's going to be very hard to say goodbye to you. Over the past 4 years, but most especially these past 7 weeks, you've been challenged and even pushed just a little beyond your comfort zone. Several of you actually contacted me during this pandemic time with ideas that might calm the nerves of your fellow students, or simply just to provide support for the faculty and the leadership who are also struggling too. Forever grateful. But you're also living out our motto, not self but others, on a daily basis. And I know that you'll carry that with you. As you came to us 4 years ago, full of enthusiasm and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge in your chosen major. But throughout those 4 years on campus, you partnered with your peers and faculty to conduct outstanding research. High quality presentations that I was able to witness with pride, and several of you actually went out to national level conferences. We could not be more proud. It's clear that you're unstoppable on every level. So as we send you off for this next exciting journey, carry a little bit of Ferrum College in your heart. We are proud of the work that you've done, of the light, as Dr. Whitehead had said, of the light that you're going to shine on our future. But always remember, nothing can stop you now. So go Panthers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spisato. I just want to say a few words by way of closing. First of all, to thank you for your patience. It's tedious having this event using technology in the way that we have, and I appreciate your patience with the technological flubs. I am very much looking forward, and I want to say this especially to family and friends of graduates who are here, and to those of you who are returning to campus in the fall but planning to return for commencement. We are very much looking forward to seeing you in person when we can give hugs and exchange words in the close-up and personal way that we're famous for at Ferrum. We appreciate your being with us tonight. To students in the honors program, especially those who are completing your first year as honors program members, I want to say congratulations. I hope your experience has been enriching, and we encourage all of those of you who are returning in the fall to reach out to your advisors, reach out to staff members. Let us know what you need over the summer. We are always here for you, regardless of what's going on in the world. And finally, to the 6 of you who will be graduating next Saturday on May the 9th. Virtual or not, it's real. You've worked hard for it. I will not be able at that time to place these little beauties around your necks, but I will sometime very soon. So in the meantime, I just want you to remember that I love you. I'm incredibly proud of you. And I know that you're going to carry the light of your accomplishments into the world and bring honor to Ferrum College. Thank you so much, and good evening.